Hi, I'm David Cohen, and I'm the Manager of Strategic Advancement at Shalom Bayit. The MenschUp program at Shalom Bayit has invited men to generate a conversation about authentic expressions of masculinity. For me, to contemplate and articulate what an authentic expression of masculinity might look like, I began reflecting on who my primary role models for masculinity were when I was young, which brought me to my biological father and people like him. As a child survivor of domestic abuse, I've always been confounded by the prevalence of abusers in our very own Jewish community, who, like my biological father, are so quickly perceived by most people as upstanding citizens and charming individuals. I've heard many similar stories about men like this, which have been shared so bravely and so eloquently by many women. The complex paradox here is that in public, so many of these abusers have appealing personalities, are professionally successful, and even extremely philanthropic, while privately, their behavior is totally different and very scary to those on the receiving end of their abuse. It is so hard and so counterintuitive for most of us to fathom that some of our fellow synagogue members, neighbors, community leaders, even personal friends, and yes, sometimes members of our own extended family could actually be domestic abusers. And exactly because it's so hard for most of us to comprehend this possibility, the vast majority of these abusers continue to get away with their destructive behavior in the privacy of their own homes. If I had ever had the opportunity to ask some of my biological father's friends or colleagues if they believed he was a domestic abuser, I am convinced without hesitation that they would have been dismissive of such an assertion. I can easily imagine that they might have said something like, "Oh, you're overreacting," or "boys will be boys." That is why so many women in abusive relationships don't reach out for help and support, because they are always afraid of not being believed by what has always been a male-dominated society. And why would we think that any of this would be any different within our Jewish community? Every time I think about it, I'm astounded by the fact that 1 out of 4 Jewish women will experience abuse from an intimate partner in their lifetime. 1 out of 4. And yet there is very clear and well-documented long history of denial by Jews regarding the prevalence of domestic abuse within our Jewish community. Which brings me to Shalom Bayit. Every client of Shalom Bayit will tell you that one of the most important reasons they appreciate and need Shalom Bayit is because we believe them and their stories of being abused. I wish Shalom Bayit had existed for my mom in the early 1960s when she was living through her nightmare of a marriage, but I am grateful that she had the courage to get a divorce. And I'm thankful more than words can say that Shalom Bayit exists today for those who need it. These are some of the reasons why I proactively sought out Shalom Bayit as the very specific organization where I wanted to make a professional contribution at this stage of my career. I want part of my legacy for my children and future grandchildren to be that I did my small part to turn the tide, to collaborate with other men who will ally with Shalom Bayit and with survivors of domestic abuse and say, no more. Domestic abuse is not and never has been acceptable behavior. Real men don't abuse their spouses or their intimate partners. Real men treat their intimate partners with respect. Always. We must do our part to help society redefine what it means to be a real man, a real mensch. To me, a real mensch embodies qualities such as decency, maturity, responsibility, and integrity. Please help make a difference. Stand up for what you know is right. Call out inappropriate sexist behavior when you see it. even if it's a little uncomfortable for you. Remember, important societal change has never come easily. Fortunately for me, I was one of the lucky ones. I did end up having numerous positive male role models throughout my life. If you'd like to take action as a positive male role model, visit Shalom Bayit's website and click on the MenschUp link to find the avenue for making a difference that feels right for you. Join the conversation. For me, at the end of the day, an authentic expression of masculinity means being a mensch. I hope you agree.